and keep your hands to yourself.
That's an outrage.
Well, sometime today, Kimberly Bell is expected to testify in the Bonds trial about his alleged steroid use, changes in his behavior and appearance, including hair loss, sexual dysfunction, and testicular shrinkage. Tony, your thoughts?
Well, Gary, I have experienced the corn calluses, bunions, and sore feet over the years, and I remember there was an ointment or something to give you back before the clear and the cream came out. And I do flaxseed oil, but I have not experienced any of those symptoms, Gary, even though I think Dan Dibley will be heading over to the courthouse today to see a jury of his peers.
Well, we have good news for you, and I'll just say it quite simply. Dibley is back, Tone.
Is he back and better than ever?
I think better than ever, yes.
I've been here for years, Tone.
Nah, he had jet lag yesterday, but he is back, and he's been sensational this morning. And to quote Alicia, who last night says, I like Dan too, but why are you so worried about Dan? I said, I want him to come home. I want him to come home to Daddy, Tone. He's back. He is back. Dan,
welcome back.
Son.
Welcome home, Cotter. Welcome home. Welcome back. Welcome back.
By the way, Tone,
back.
Dan's following on Twitter the Bonds trial. Anything new, Dan?
Yeah, the defense has gone up and started to address in his opening concerns, his opening remarks about the veracity of some of the defense witnesses.
All right.
Or the prosecution witnesses.
Tone, I'll say this one thing about, again, Kimberly Bell. You stay with a guy 9 years, and he was married twice. You know, he was with her, or with his first wife, supposedly, carried on the affair, then was still with her, married somebody else. That's, that's your problem too, you know?
Well, how about the Greg Anderson going to jail for somebody? Now, somebody brought that up on my night show, called in and said, that's amazing. I said, yeah, would you go to jail for somebody for 9 years? I mean, would you go to jail for a member of your own family for a couple of years to protect their whatever you're protecting?
You know, Tone, I hate to say it, and until you do it, we're just talking. I think I'd do it for one of my children, wouldn't you?
Go to jail for one of my children? Yeah, then I wouldn't have to work. I'd have $3 square a day. I wouldn't have to worry about bills or any of that other stuff. Yeah, you know what? I would do it for one of my children, too.
Yeah, but of course, Tony.
And of course, as Prince once said, I would die for you, but I wouldn't do that, Gary. I'm sorry. I think he was talking about Apollonia in that song? Who would he die when he sang that? I don't know. Die for you.
Of all the women, do you know that, what's the little girl, Carmen Electra, lived with him for a while? Yeah,
I did not know that, Gary.
Yes, when she...
Did you know that, Dan Dibley?
No. Dan doing Chris Myers.
Wait a minute, are we in the CIT semifinals already?
Yeah, in
We're in the
fact...
quarters, Tone. Big one on the Hilltop tonight. USF and Santa Clara.
Yeah, with any luck, they'll get 2,000.
But why must you continue to hate?
I'm not hating. I'm just telling you.
You tried to hate yesterday when you broadsided Mr. Coonan, and now you're on the attack again.
Yeah, Dan brought on the, by the way, a hell of a nice guy, Dan Coonan, the athletic director at Santa Clara. Dan blindsided me.
You blindsided him with the assassination of Dick Davey.
Well, but that was a good, honest thing to say. No, but Tone, here's my point, and quickly we'll get off.
3 years later, real tough.
The CIT. If nobody goes to the game and is not on television,
isn't the game on television?
Hell no.
What's the one that's on HD Net, or is that the other one? There's one of these tournaments is on the HD Net channel that Mark Cuban, I think, runs. Doesn't he still run that?
Not the NIT, huh?
No, the NIT's on ESPN.
Right, okay.
No, there's a third one. There's the CIT, the CBI, and then there's Dancing with the Stars, of course, where Kirstie Alley, the stunner of the night, finishing second after the first night of competition. Gary, your thoughts?
I thought those judges were tough last night. I had it on to watch Sugar Ray Leonard, right? I thought he did a pretty nice job. Little Romeo was good, too.
Well, it's not Lil anymore. He's Romeo now, guys.
Did he not go by Little? Okay.
The only person who's still going by Lil is Lil Abner. He never changed his name. He still, to this day, calls himself Lil Abner.
Little Romeo got a little too excited. If anybody saw this, when the blonde, his dance partner, walked in the room.
Wait a minute, Gary, you watched Dancing with the Stars last night?
Tony, I have a wife, okay?
Close the door, Tony. His man card is flying away.
Oh, Gary.
Tim, go pick it up on Hawthorne, please.
Okay. Hey.
It's blowing down the street. It's by the Gold Club right now, Gary. Pick it up before it blows down the street.
Hang on.
And before they
Tim
hose down the sidewalk.
It's in tatters, Tony, at this hour.
KNBR 60.
Tim, let me ask you quickly, just to make you feel at home. If Wilson's not ready opening day, who does Marty say will close?
Oh, Jesus. Probably Affelt.
Who does
I
Marty
go with
say?
Kirstie Alley. She's good on her feet for a big girl.
No, is she still big, Tone?
I didn't know. I didn't see her. I know she's not huge, but you know she's 60 years old. I found out from Miss Robin last night. Kirstie Alley is 60, Gary. Did you know that?
Well, she had a pretty good career, right?
Absolutely.
She
I didn't realize
rejuvenated
she looked good for
Travolta's career with Look Who's Talking, as you well remember.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Tone, I'm going to say Sugar Ray Leonard only got a 6. That was Len and all those guys.
I didn't see it. I know there's an Italian guy on there, and I don't know who these other judges are.
Dan, do you find me feminine for watching?
Not feminine, Gary, but go ahead and look over your left shoulder and read the sign, please.
Okay.
What does
Hey,
the sign
Tone,
say?
how do you think
sports leader?
How do you think Tejada's going to do, Tone? Your thoughts?
I don't know, Gary, but I've been telling you all along, it's all about pitching, and you mentioned Brian Wilson. And, we're seeing a lot of injuries here in spring training.
What?
We've got, 6 more exhibition games before the boys head back north, Gary?
I think I say
east,
we because
or west.
Dan reminded me I work for KNBR 680.
The sports leader.
We return home on Monday, don't we, Dan?
Yeah, Gary, thank you.
But we do dabble only in Dancing with the Stars, only with the results of those sports like Hines Ward. We want to know how the athletes are doing.
Exactly. You brought
We don't
up
care
Allie.
about Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid. Who
Ooh,
was the leader
Kirstie
after
Alley
a
had a donut, Tone.
Tony said it. Okay, now he's on you, Tone.
I didn't say anything about her eating a donut. I didn't know how big she was. I heard she's not as big. I mean, I know she has the weight that goes up and it goes back down. A lot of people who have experienced large weight gains will lose it and then put it back on, unfortunately, Gary.
If only gas prices were like Kirstie Alley, Tone.
Oh, now you're
going
trying
up
to
and coming back down.
They're never coming down. Remember that, Dan. They're never coming down.
Hey, I thought Giambi was not. Giambi's testifying reportedly here at this trial.
I did not know that, Gary. Are we going live to the trial? Now, how long are they saying this trial is going to last? Because I saw the complaints yesterday, of course, that why is the government wasting all this money to try to prove it's not whether Barry Bonds took steroids, it's whether he lied.
Yeah.
And, and some of the greatest liars of all time have gone on trial. And I mentioned Lil Kim, speaking of Lil, she's the only person that in recent memory who I remember going to jail for perjury. Nobody goes to jail for perjury anymore,
But
do they?
she was trying to protect some people, correct?
Yeah, but so everybody who lies is trying to protect somebody, aren't they? Usually themselves.
Yeah, no, but that's the way I got it. Little Kim took the rap for some other people. She wouldn't rat on anyone, but that's another story. But I tell you,
Snitches get stitches, Gary, as you well know.
Is that applies to Little Kim?
Applies to everyone.
By the
snitch.
Little Kim's act is being stolen by Nicki Minaj, or at least Little Kim claims. Tone, your thoughts?
Well, of course she is, just like Lady Gaga stealing Madonna's act. But then again, everything comes back like in 20-year cycles, like all the bad movies that are being redone now. Like Arthur, the much-anticipated sequel to the original great with Dudley Moore, Gary.
Yeah, Dudley Moore was cute. Russell Brand, too over the top. Your thoughts?
I only saw a couple of highlights. I have no interest in seeing Arthur, the remake.
We had a funny one today. You know the great Mark Ibanez, right?
Absolutely.
He wanted to address Dan Dibley.
Well, I don't know him personally, but I know who he is.
Very nice guy. Very nice guy. And just seriously, very nice. In fact, a guy who says when he hears Mark Ibanez talk, his day gets a little. The man's name is Ernest. He says, listening to Mark Ibanez's voice, my day got a little brighter and my teeth a little whiter. So there you go. But
I like that.
He was, since we're talking movies, he was upset with Dan for not enjoying the It's Complicated movie starring Meryl Streep.
Did you see that movie? I didn't see that movie.
I saw it. Is
it good?
And Dan couldn't buy that Alec Baldwin wouldn't want the young woman instead of the old
He's
woman.
enjoying a relationship, Tony, with a 26-year-old spicy Latina, and he's going to walk away for a 61-year-old Meryl? I'm not buying it.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Give me a plausible plot, and then I can enjoy it.
Exactly right. Like Battle L.A. Those are the kinds of plots we need more. More movies like
What is that
Alien.
like, though, Tom? What, just L.A. blows up?
I don't know. I know the Santa Monica Pier. Well, the L.A. blew up over the weekend with the rain. I know you had the bad storms up there. Man, it was really nasty here on Sunday, Gary. We had winds. I lost my power in the middle of the afternoon. That's why I couldn't watch tournament action. Then I went out to go get something to eat because I didn't know how long the power would be out. And all the restaurants' power was out, too, on Sunday. We're not good here with weather, Gary. I mean, that was a pretty big storm, but it certainly wasn't hurricane or gale force winds. There were some strong winds. It was just a lot of heavy wind-blown rain, and all of a sudden the power goes out here. It's an outrage.
That's no joke. In fact, I have witnesses. That's the one thing. Normally when I'm home, nothing bothers me. But when the TV and the power goes out, I get in a – seriously, I mean, I'm in a rage. I'm calling
on a Sunday afternoon. I couldn't watch Phil Martelli on True TV, Gary.
Yeah, he was good too. But how long, when your power goes out, how long does it take the great people of Venice to respond?
Well, it's not the people of Venice. They're still out on the streets looking for money and wine and drugs and stuff.
Jeez.
Those people, they never worry about.
Julia Roberts lives in Venice.
The
Doesn't she have
power's
a house?
never out. The power's never out for those people. Who, oh, by the way, 3 of them in front of my house at 5 a.m. arguing this morning about something, Gary. I was awakened by the sound of 3 bums fighting. Not bum fights that you've seen on Howard Stern show or the other bum fights that are all over the internet, which I never found amusing or appealing in any way, shape, or form, Gary.
It's funny you said that. And I'm as big a Stern fan as there is. That's the one thing I don't like when he has the retarded people on. Or
exploiting people who have either mental or physical deficiencies, Gary?
That's the only
Gary,
thing.
careful using the R word, if you would, please.
Why is that?
It's not really a good word to use. Just trying to help you out on this one.
Why, do you think back on the cross for that?
No. It's just a bad word to use. Mentally challenged would be more appropriate.
All right, but I wasn't saying it in a...
I'm just trying to caution you.
Tony, your thoughts on Dan stepping in to help?
Caution, you are about to enter a no-spin zone or whatever the zone is.
Caution may be habit forming, the cheesesteak shop. Thank you, Damon Bruce.
Dennis in Modesto, you want to talk to Tony about Kirstie Alley. Go, Dennis. Yes, Den.
Card 2. I watched the Dancing with the Stars preview last night for about 10 minutes before I went to bed, and this is a direct quote from Kirstie Alley in her little snippet. She says, if I have to haul ass, somebody tells me to haul ass, I'd have to make 2 trips.
Okay, so that's pretty good.
So
did you get a rim shot from the drummer and the Dancing with the Stars band?
Like I said, that was directly from her mouth on TV, so there's no in between.
No, that's pretty good. I'll give her credit. Tone, what happened?
I get Dancing with the Stars updates from my 87-year-old mom, God bless her. She watches it, and then I get the, because, pop culture, we got to keep up with it. I can't watch these shows, but I have to be aware of their existence, Gary. That's how it works in today's media.
Tone, by the way, does Bruce Pearl work again as a head coach at a major school?
Absolutely, Gary. He'll be snapped up in a heartbeat.
Oh, right off the bat, he's got to sit out a couple years, doesn't he?
No way. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of openings out there, and of course, I don't think Bruce Pearl will be donning the orange warm-ups, though, at the Final Four in Houston at Reliance Stadium, though, in a couple of weeks. Next weekend.
I wonder, I guess they wouldn't
Now, will Dan Dibley be making the trip to Reliance Stadium for the Coaches Convention, better known as the NCAA Final Four?
Actually, the streak will be snapped, Tone. I will not be in Houston for
I will
said
not
event.
be in Houston either. I am not going to the Final Four.
JustAskRay.com.
But Tone,
is Ray going?
Yes, indeed. Ray Woodson has seized the opportunity.
Even without the UCSB team, he will be making the trip?
Ray Woodson will make his Final Four debut on the Sports Leader.
Beautiful.
How will that help the show?
Save it for in a couple weeks, Gary, when you need it.
Okay, all right. Tone, you know where I am on that. On the trip sometimes, I'm a little leery. I like the company to save their money.
The company's got to send people out on remote. The CNN say, are we going to send Anderson Cooper out to Egypt or wherever they're going to send him out to because it doesn't make any sense. He can do the same thing sitting in the studio. No, Gary, they want you out on the streets. You've got to be embedded. And when Dan Dibley was embedded in Ireland many, many times last week, when he was embedded over there.
Please don't.
Gary made sure I was in bed, tucked in and asleep.
I made an editorial decision. Ken in Green Bay, you're on KNBR. Hello, Ken. Thanks, Tony. Yes, Ken.
Hey, I was kind of upset about that guy giving you a bad time about saying everybody hated you on your basketball team and your coaches and everything.
No, he didn't. Boy, Ken, aren't you straight? No, he said when I was growing up, when I was 15. Let me get the letter here, Ken. Said I was a wise ass and nobody liked you. Go ahead, Ken.
But there was no love there. Come on.
Wait a minute, this guy refers to you when you were 15 that nobody liked you, Gary?
Tone, here's a guy. He's in a coffee shop this morning in San Jose.
Right.
And 2 gentlemen were talking, one an ex-coach who says some nice things, blah, 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 and he says he's proud of you, what you've done. And then the other guy says, I remember you could really shoot, and he quote, here's the tough part, you were a real wise ass and nobody liked you. And I said, when you're 15, those guys were just jealous of me.
When you got skills, nobody likes you when you can go out there and dribble past them and do the crossover and the dribble drive. And when you're onions, Gary, when you got onions, as the great Bill Rafter would say,
and Tone,
nobody likes you.
I was driving a big car when I was 16. These guys were all walking. They were just jealous.
Tony, Tony, my point was that I was trying to defend Gary because they were totally shooting him down when he was 15, for God's sake.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're a hotshot 15-year-old and you got family money and you're headed to greatness, people don't like you. You know, that's what happens.
Tell you
the
the truth, that's the only sad part. I was about almost 6'2" then, and as good as I was at 18, I was good when I was 15. That was the problem. I didn't get any better. When I was 15, I was great. Then it's kind of went downhill.
Maybe
from
you
there.
could have worked on your passing, Gary.
No, I was a good passer. It was guarding somebody I couldn't do.
Yeah, you're even better now, Gary. You rock.
What's
Mike D'Antoni has a spot for you on the New York Knicks roster, Gary. You can't defend.
Yeah.
You can't block shots.
Oh.
You can play for the New York Knicks as they spit away yet another loss last night to the Boston
I will
Celtics,
ask
Gary.
you straight up, will this be considered a bomb, the Carmelo Anthony trade?
Well, no, I think the Mike D'Antoni hire will be considered a bomb when everybody realizes in New York that you can't win in the Eastern Conference or in the playoffs when you don't play defense. Mike D'Antoni proved it in Phoenix with that team, and he's proving it with the Knicks. They can't defend anybody, Gary. They can't stop anybody. And I said this before, I'd rather have a team like my 76ers with a bunch of guys who play hard than a team with a couple of alleged superstars who can't win big games. That's the problem with New York. The Knicks are jacking up their season tickets 49% next year, Gary. And you tell me if this team flames out in the playoffs, they're going to make the playoffs. But if they go out in the first round, you think people in New York will be lining up to pay 49% higher ticket prices to go watch Carmelo Anthony and Mike D'Antoni next year?
But let me just, and again, we may be argumentative here. It's 5 o'clock, I'm getting dressed to go out, and I want to flip on and have some accompaniment. And I know Philadelphia's on one channel and the Knicks are on the other. I'm always going to go Knicks first to see what Stoudemire and Carmelo are doing.
Philadelphia's not on another channel because NBA TV, they're not hyping up good teams. They're hyping up stars. That's all the NBA's become. Hype up the star teams, forget about the rest of the majority of the NBA. That's my only problem. People think I'm an NBA hater. I don't hate the game. I hate the hype. The hype is what's hurting the NBA. The hype in Miami, the hype in New York. You know, the only teams that live up to the hype are the Lakers and the Boston Celtics. No one else has been able to live up to the hype. The Spurs don't get a lot of hype. They're just a good team. And how about the Warriors, by the way, Gary? They could have helped the Lakers perhaps win an NBA championship last night.
The Warriors haven't won in San Antonio since
I'm talking about by Tim Duncan
Day
going
97.
out. Tim Duncan going out of that game last night indefinitely. He got hurt in the first time the Warriors played them up there at the Oracle Arena, as you well remember, Gary, when Tim Duncan went down with a hyperextended knee, but he did return last night out early, and now that could be a huge blow in the Western Conference. It won't do anything to the Golden State Warriors. That could help the Lakers catch the San Antonio Spurs down the stretch, Gary.
John, let me say this. From what I heard, X-rays negative may be a blessing in disguise. What's there, 3 weeks left in the regular season?
I believe 20 games, Gary. 20 or 22 games,
then probably
like that.
Closer to 4 weeks.
12 games. I'm
12
sorry.
games. All right,
they played 70. They played 70. There's 12 to go.
So Duncan sits.
Radnich.
Yeah, Ken.
Yeah. Can I ask Tony a question?
Tony,
we were just in the middle of a Tim Duncan discussion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Yeah, but it's more important. What happened to the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos?
What do you
They
mean what
lost
happened?
in the first round to Florida, to the Florida Gators, when Billy
Yeah,
Donovan.
No, that's horrible. I mean,
You thought they were going to beat Florida? You thought
Two-time
UCSB
national champs. Tone, do you remember Billy Donovan? In fact, talk about nepotism. Right next to Billy Donovan, Rick Pitino's son now as an assistant.
Right.
Billy Donovan and Delray Brooks at Providence, Tone. You remember?
Absolutely, Gary.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. That's back before Marvin Tire Iron Barnes was there, was it not?
No, it was
as they called, we used to call him that, Marvin Tire Iron Barnes.
And
Remember
Ernie
him?
D. And they had great. Joe Mulaney was a coach from Jimmy Walker, Jalen Rose's dad. Providence has a great history.
Yeah, that's great Friar knowledge, not Friar talk, or of course the deep fat fryer that you can buy late night on television after you're watching House Hunters International on HGTV.
You always go. Why can't you watch in the United? I watched the United States one.
I watched one last night. I watched the couple that was in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, buying a foreclosure. I don't want to see that, Gary. I want to see the couple in Slovenia. I want to see the couple buy the house that I should buy in Fiji for $450,000. Did you see that couple from Tucson?
But here's the thing, Tone, that you're saying. I saw a couple in the outskirts of Spain. Oh, we're going to move to Spain. And then they buy a place. I swear to God, it was like $50,000. But then how much you have to put into it, you know?
So what? You're living in a nice place where the climate's nice. You're not worried about all this other nonsense, gas prices, driving, housing costs, traffic log jams, all the other stuff, Gary. You chill. If you were in Fiji, would you be worried about anything? Did you see the house? It was like a little villa these people bought for $450,000, Gary.
Tony, let me tell you something. And
you know what you can get for $450,000 in San Francisco or L.A.?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly right.
Ken, we'll call you when we need
Now you can move out to Dublin. I saw a guy buy a condo out in Dublin, Pleasanton last night on my first home, and it was very nice for $350.
Tony, listen to me.
Dublin,
you're an action guy. You like to be. What are you going to? You're going to move to some remote place. After a month, you're going to say, "God, I got to come home." You know?
Well, yeah, you come back and forth. You don't have to stay there. You go there for a month or two. You come back. You kiss the babies. You see your family, and then you go to hell back to Fiji, Gary.
Okay, Kenny, your bottom line. Then you felt I was being attacked in a coffee shop in San Jose unfairly.
Yeah, there's no love there, man.
Ken, why do you think I read it?
Now, Ken, you were there and overheard this conversation?
No, he's responding to what I told him on the air. I read the negative part of the email.
Now, who wrote the email? Someone who was a witness to this?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Man says he's sitting in a coffee shop in San Jose.
It sounded like you were very distraught, and I was upset about it.
Of course I was distraught, but I bounced back.
Was it the original Joes? Were they sitting there in John Albanese' wood-engraved private booth?
Ken, let me give you an example. It's similar to what Dan went through yesterday, only I got over it in 2 minutes. Took Dan 3 hours. Thank you, Ken. Tone, I'm about to show knowledge. You ready? The NBA junkie.
Okay.
NBA junkies. Hey, NBA junkie. If you repeat the same thing you said to Ray Woodson at 7:35 last night, I'm dumping you. Okay.
I repeated the same thing I said last night. That you're not dumping me, Gary.
I know, but the NBA junkies.
And Gary, your show is founded on saying the same thing over and over again.
Tony, your
not
thoughts?
Really, but I mean, I've been ripping I've been saying all along that the 76ers were a better team than the Knicks, and now they're ahead of them in the standings, Gary.
NBA junkie.
Doug Collins is
Gary,
the coach
tell me
of the
another
year.
story about Providence from the 70s.
What has got into this guy?
And this Tom Thibodeau Coach of the Year nonsense is ridiculous. And the reason he's going to win is because the hype machine that is the NBA. No one's doing more with less talent than Doug Collins in the NBA, Gary.
Yeah,
nobody.
But Chicago has
nobody.
a chance to win NBA title, maybe.
So what? They got Derrick Rose. They got good players. Tom Thibodeau didn't inherit a bad team.
It's Greg Popovich, Tone, doing more with Tiago Splitter than anyone ever could.
Exactly. That's good Tiago Splitter knowledge.
I'm trying to look it down. You may be right. Who else you're going to vote for? But who else? Okay, who should win? You think Collins?
Doug Collins, to me, has done the best coach. Not because I'm a Philadelphia apologist, Gary, because I will actually pay attention to the teams that the NBA 8-team private party and the media that follows it doesn't represent.
He's 2 games over 500, Philadelphia, Tone.
He was 3-13, Gary. This guy started out with a bad team.
Chicago's
with no
50-19.
So what? But they were good last year. They weren't. They didn't have 27 wins last year. The Chicago Bulls did not have a 27-win season. Doug Collins took over the same team, same bad talent, and has got these guys playing competitive basketball and beating good teams. That to me is coaching. You know, coaching Derrick Rose and that team in Chicago, with all due respect to Tom Thibodeau, nice job, but guess what? You know, it's like Phil Jackson taking over Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Did he do a great coaching job? Yes.
Wait a minute. You're comparing Scottie Pippen, Rodman, and
I'm saying there are
Jordan
a lot of people. You remember, Phil Jackson didn't win Coach of the Year with the Bulls because they said, oh, he's got Michael Jordan. That's not great coaching. He didn't win with the Lakers most of the time. Oh, he's got Kobe Bryant. He's not a great coach. Anybody can win with those teams. I'm not saying Tom Thibodeau, anybody can win with the Bulls. I'm saying the Bulls were an up-and-coming team, and Tom Thibodeau has done a good job, but he certainly hasn't transformed a bad team into a great team. He's got talent. They got Carlos Boozer. They got Luol Deng. They got Derrick Rose. This isn't a team that's got a bunch of scrubs running around,
Hey,
Gary.
Tone, if people vote with their heart, you know who should get it? George Karl.
Absolutely, Gary.
Put up with that.
I agree. George Karl's in the running, but George Karl's a great coach. George Karl's doing better without Carmelo Anthony than when he had him there. Why? Because he's coaching talent. He's got players too deep at every position, and he's proving what the NBA doesn't want him to prove. that you can win without superstars. Give me good players. Give me guys that play hard and work together. But unfortunately, that's not what the NBA is. It's about hyping up 8 franchises.
Wait a minute. Name
so
me
David
an NBA
Stern
champion.
And ESPN.
Oh,
the Lakers
stop
aren't
it.
loaded with superstars. Who are the superstars on the Lakers?
Paul Gasol is not.
He's not a superstar.
But he's an all-star. He's an all-star. He's the best center in the West.
But is Lamar Odom a superstar? No, he's a damn good player.
And Lamar Odom's the best sixth man.
Is Derek Fisher the best point guard of the NBA? No, he's a damn good player.
Bynum is good, too.
Bynum's okay. Bynum's not a superstar. Bynum's never healthy. To me, the Lakers are not – they're not the Chicago Bulls. They're not the Miami Heat. They win because they got one superstar and guys who can play with him. That's the difference in the NBA.
Tone, Let's give you this.
To the NBA. We have the NBA,
NBA junkie.
On the line?
NBA junkie. The minute I sense you repeating what you said at 7:35 last night with Ray Woodson, you're
what
gone.
What did I say at 7:35? I had that Shaka
You were in a commercial.
Smart on.
You were
I
in a
had
commercial.
Shaka Smart on last night.
You did?
The great Shaka
from
Smart.
VC,
yeah.
from the what is it? VCU.
VCU, baby, the Rams.
Go ahead, junkie. The minute you're cut off, the minute I sense a repeat.
Jerry, contrary to your belief, Jerry, I'm not living in fear of you cutting me off.
All right, goodbye. Tone, here's the thing that
I'm going to just say goodbye to
the only team. Well,
bye.
I'm not going to take any more crap from the audience. I'm telling you that, Tone. I'm turning
I
over
thought
a
you always
new
had to
leaf.
give the audience the final word, Gary.
With Tone, the only team I can say legitimately that did not have a superstar and won an NBA title. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Seattle SuperSonics.
No, they had a couple.
The Detroit Pistons, Gary, had no
Isaiah
superstar.
Thomas.
No,
Thomas.
I'm talking about Chauncey Billups at all. Ben Wallace,
right.
Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah, Dan.
Bye-bye
maybe.
argument. Pachow.
Okay, thank you for the
Exactly
thank
right,
you.
Dan Dibley.
I
And
may
you know
go
what
with
happened?
that. I
And
may
guess
go
what
with that.
happened? Guess what happened when those Detroit Pistons won that championship? Nobody watched. You know why? Because the NBA was into the hype. That was after Michael Jordan came in, and it all became about hyping up individuals. But then when you had teams like the Spurs and the Detroit Pistons in the finals, what happened? Ratings go down because they're not selling the sizzle. They don't care about
Well, what's
good
the matter
team
with selling the
basketball.
sizzle? Everybody
Well,
sells
because then
sizzle.
when you don't have sizzle that makes it, then everybody's complaining about the ratings. You know what? If you're good enough to get to the NBA Finals, that should count. Not if you get to the NBA Finals and you got to have a superstar-laden roster. That's why the NBA is marketing itself into a corner, Gary. That's why there's a lot of bad franchises and a lot of teams that are going under. And you watch all the teams folding. Sacramento's quit. They lose by 40 last night. Why would anybody in Anaheim want that team, Gary? Why would you, if you're living in Anaheim,
But
California?
nobody's pumping up this Sacramento's
Yes, they are.
Anaheim Kings.
Yes, they are. They're in Anaheim. The Maloofs have already bought all the names for the Anaheim team, the Royals. If you live in Anaheim, California, why would you go pay to get excited to go watch a downtrodden team that nobody in Sacramento, unfortunately, cares about anymore, that the players don't care about showing up, and they lose by 40 last night? Embarrassingly. They've been embarrassing since this whole
I agree,
move
Tone,
thing.
but
Now,
wouldn't
isn't
you
your
rather
job as a professional to perform? Why do the Sacramento Kings quit on their fans and on their coach and on everybody else, Gary? How do you lose by 40 last night? I know they're playing the Bulls, but still, they got blown out by the 76ers. They're an embarrassment. And now they got some other city ready to welcome them in. Who's going to go out and watch that garbage in Anaheim, Gary?
I got to
Seriously.
calm you down. Rashad in Oakland, you want to talk to Tony about Mike D'Antoni.
They couldn't pay me to go watch that, Gary.
Go ahead, Mo.
Hey, fellas. Tony, it's not D'Antoni's fault in New York, man. He don't have Raymond Felton. He don't have Gallinari. He don't have Wilson Chandler no more, man.
That doesn't matter. Mike D'Antoni doesn't coach defense no matter who he has. He doesn't coach defense.
Those players, Tony. He was winning with those players. Now he had no chance to win. And Gary, why are you cutting my man NBA Junkie off for? He always brings strong to your show.
I just heard him last night. Here's my thing. Obviously probably the main reason is I'm playing, but there's a small percentage of me. If a guy calls all the shows, you want to give somebody else a chance. Let's put it this way, Rashad. You would not have been on had I let the NBA Junkie do his Ray
I want to know
Woodson.
what the NBA Junkie had to say, Gary.
Yeah, I listen to your show for callers like that. That guy, he bring it strong every time.
We haven't had him on. Okay, NBA Junkie, quick. Please call back.
I'm
then.
going to give you the final
I was
word
wrong.
today, NBA Junkie.
Jesus
I'm sure he's going to
Christ.
hate on me because I'm one of the few guys who has the backbone, the cojones, the spine to call out David Stern and his hype machine league. The NBA is a hype machine, Gary. You want to buy the hype?
But
you can buy the hype. I'm not buying the hype. Give me good basketball, and I'll watch.
Tony,
I don't need to see Carmelo Anthony lose every night. I'd rather see a team work hard and lose a close game rather than a hyped-up team lose and then make excuses why they can't play together, Gary.
Every form of entertainment is hyped up then, Tone, right?
Not every form. No, there are a lot of things that are good entertainment that don't get the hype, and you find them, the hidden treasures, as Dan Dibley knows. You go out and you find those things. They're good, but they don't get the hype.
Why do you hate the NBA? Why do you hate the NBA?
I love the NBA. I just hate what the NBA has become. It's about 8 teams and nobody else matters. That's why I would never, if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't spend 10 cents buying an NBA
You feel the same way about Major League Baseball? There's about 8 good teams, and the rest of them are no good.
I wouldn't buy a sports team if I were. The only team I would buy would be an NFL team. That's the only guaranteed money anymore, Gary. Buying in the National Football League, even though there is no National Football League.
Mike, why don't we all put our pennies together, buy an NHL team? Did you hear about?
Lee Hammer says no.
It's Boots. Is it Dan? You followed in that story about the guy? Is it Boots Delagio from San Jose?
I'm not following, Gary.
Bought the Nashville Predators and ended up. He stole $100 million from people in San Jose. I just saw there was a story on him. I caught the very end of it. He was a friend of John Albany's. And somebody will know in our audience. Why
did he buy the Nashville Predators
because
if he lives in San Jose?
He was one of those guys that hit it early in, I think, real estate, and then got a big head, loved the attention, was a minority owner of the Sharks. And
we have an update.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Greg Anderson has been jailed for refusing to testify in the Barry Bonds trial. This is breaking.
You think he was
I didn't
framed,
even know
Tone?
he was out of jail. When did they let him out?
He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out.
All right.
He's in. He's either in or you're out. As George Clooney said in Ocean's 11, you're either in or you're out.
All right,
Are
Tone,
you in or you out?
You're going to have to leave us, but I think it's Boots. Somebody in San Jose knows a guy that embezzled.
Not Powers Booth, not the great actor Powers Booth.
Who did he play? Powers Booth. Somebody big, right?
I forget. He played a lot of people.
He played Howard Hughes, did he not? I think it's Howard Hughes in a movie. Powers Booth. This is Boots Delagio. Again, San Jose, I need you to let me know. Tone bought the Nashville Predators, and then they found out he had no money.
I'm looking for a hockey call from San Jose. How come Mr. Hockey Mike doesn't know this?
Because Mike only knows the third line. He doesn't know. But it's Boots. Go ahead, Mike. You know the name?
Hell no.
Oh, yeah, you were booking for somebody else. Quick, Eamon, take that one. That'll be somebody will know. It's Boots. I want to send you off just to show you good knowledge. This guy was a minority owner of the Sharks. Greg Jameson actually brought him into the fold, and then he says, I want to go on my own. Eamon, you have the name? Put him on. Put Eamon on quick. We don't have time for typing. Mike in San Jose, you're on KNBR.
Hey, Gary, his name was William Boots Del Biagio, and he actually got his money in banking.
Yes. Family money, too,
right?
Right?
Everybody gets their money?
And he was going to be a 25% owner of the Nashville Predators, but he was stealing all the money, all Madoff.
Yeah, and his thing was he was going to own a part of it, but he had such a big ego, he just wanted to sniff all the athletes, right?
Oh, you mean he was a Kardashian?
But no,
related to the Kardashians?
They never stole, Tone. They never stole. All right, hey Mike, thanks very much. All right,
is this
Tone.
Allegedly now, or has this guy been convicted?
No, he's in fact they let Mike go. I think he's in prison right now, Tone.
Oh, okay. We don't want to say he stole unless it's alleged, Gary.
No, he's in prison. He was convicted.
Like Barry Bonds allegedly lied.
Well, we're waiting for Kimberly Bell's testimony.
Hey, Tone, take USF tonight. Give the 2.5.
That's what I was going to ask you. I need a CIT lock tonight.
They should win that game by 5 or 6, Tone. We'll go ahead and lock that one up for you. Take the Dons. Even though it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a year, they will beat the Broncos for the 3rd time tonight.
And lay how much we laying tonight?
I'd say a dime would be in order. A little CIT design.
What's the number? 2.5?
2.5.
2.5 tonight, Gary.
Fine.
2.5.
Okay, why those guys carry on their CIT conversation. Boots Delagio, 808 KNBR if you're from the South Bay.
It's Bellagio, Gary, not the Bellagio Hotel, of course, in Las Vegas.
Boots Bellagio. All right.
Mike, I know we're going to break. I know we're going to break, Mike.
808 KNBR. Would you rather have CIT or me taking you behind the curtain of the Nashville Predators? Tone, we'll talk with you tomorrow, all right?
All right, we'll go behind the lines, too, or outside
Don't
the
forget
lines
the Iron Curtain, LC Greenwood.
Exactly
right.
No, that was the steel curtain.
The steel curtain. Who was behind the curtain?
That was the Wizard of Oz, of course, who said, "Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain." Yeah.
All right, Tone, I got a bunch of
Phenomenal
Boost DiMaggio
And don't forget
calls.
Jane Curtin, of course, on Saturday Night Live.
Exactly
back in the day.
right. Thank you very much. All right, you're listening. And don't forget, young Gilda Radner married, as you well know, prior to her death, to Gene Wilder.
Exactly right. Good.
All right.
Mike.
We're going to get to the Boots calls, Tone. We'll talk to you on these sports later.
Barry, will you go to Oakland, Barry?
Will you visit Greg, Barry?